All right, so we are just going to keep working on this factoring using that box method. So we have this trinomial 3x squared minus 2x minus 8. To factor this, we are going to look for what first? The GCF. Do we have one? 3x squared minus 2x minus 8. If you think through the factors of each term, you'll come up with the fact that we do not have a common factor. Sometimes you do. If you remember our the first example we did in this lesson did have a GCF we could factor out. That's why we always look for it. All right, so there's no GCF, so let's go ahead and draw our box. Remember, we put our first term in the top left, so that's where your 3x squared is going to go. The last term, the negative 8, goes in the bottom right. Now, to fill in our remaining boxes, we need factors of a times c that add up to our middle term of b. So let's figure out what a times c is. A times c, 3 times negative 8, is a negative 24. Then we want factors of negative 24 that add up to negative 2. So this is a negative 24, so I know we'll have a positive and a negative factor combination. If we list our factor pairs, 124, 2, 12, 3, 8, 4, 6, I think that's all of them. Because I know that I need one number to be negative, remember, whatever your b value is, the larger factor will have that same sign. So I'm just going to make all these bigger numbers negative. Then if we can find the factor pair that adds up to negative 2, that is going to be that 4 and negative 6. So we go over to our box and we put a 4x into one of them and a negative 6x into the other one. Again, you could have switched those around. We would end up with the same answer in the end. So now we're just going to factor GCFs out to the left and up to the top. So factoring a GCF out to the left, if both of these terms were negative, I would use a negative GCF, but they're not both negative. So I'm going to focus on a 3 and a 6. The biggest number that fits into 3 and 6 is 3. So that's the largest common factor they have. Both terms have an x squared, and x, so the most number of x's they have is an x, so we have 3x. Now let's look at the next row. Again, if both of these terms were negative, I would use a negative GCF, but they're not. So let's just look at, we have a 4 and an 8. So the biggest factor of 4 and 8 is a 4. And then both terms do not have an x, so we don't have an x as our GCF there. Now let's factor to the top. Coefficients first, 3 and 4 have no common factors, but x squared and x do have a common factor of x. Then we have our last column, negative 6x, negative 8. So notice both of these terms are negative, so we're going to have a negative GCF. And then let's think about that 6 and the 8. What's the largest factor of 6 and 8 that they have in common? And that is going to be a 2. And do we have any x's in common? We do not, so just a negative 2. All right, so now we can put together our binomial factors. One of them will be a 3x plus 4, because that was a positive 4, and the other one is an x minus 2. And that is our factored form.